everyone, I'm Melissa Austin Weeks and welcome to this week's edition of the Hostess Journal, where I bring you quick and easy hosting tips, heirloom recipes, and ideas to make your home a beautiful place to be. And today we are going to talk about a quick and easy centerpiece that you can use for your fall, Thanksgiving, and Christmas table for the holidays. So I have a few supplies. I picked up some orchids from Trader Joe's. I have a few clippings of magnolia leaves. I may or may not use these, but these are from the magnolia tree I have growing in the front yard. I have some small white pumpkins. I have some green moss. I have some wilt stock, which I'll tell you, if we end up using the magnolia leaves, I'll tell you how this works. And some recycled paper and a paper towel and a pair of scissors. So this is an heirloom piece. And I always encourage you to look around your house. Most everything that you have in your house can be a vessel for something. If you've got antique teacups, if you've got a tea kettle, if you have a teapot, if you have a basket, use your imagination. Don't feel like you have to go out and buy anything. This came from my party pantry, which if you look back at my Instagram page, you can see what my party pantry is. It's basically where I keep all of my hosting supplies. My plates, my napkins, my china, my silver, my cutlery, anything, candles, anything that I want to use to help set the table, it's all in one spot. So this is from my collection of Johnson Brothers dishware that actually belonged to my grandmother and my mother, and they passed it down to me. And this is just an old soup tureen. It has a lid. I took the lid off. It has a nice little footed base. So I'm going to use this as the container for my centerpiece. Now, one tip I shared this week on Instagram is that you can take your containers with you to the flower store or to the grocery store, because I wasn't sure what size orchid. I knew I wanted orchids because they will get me through the Christmas, possibly even after the New Year season, and I didn't want to have to keep spending money on fresh flowers. But I wasn't sure if I wanted the small type of orchid or if I wanted the larger one. So by taking this with you, it takes the guesswork. Also, it prevents you from overbuying or underbuying and having to make another trip to the store, of the size and scale and the amount of orchids that I needed. So I put this in the cart, carried it into the store with me, into a carrying bag, and I physically put a short orchid in there and then a tall orchid. And right away, I could see that the tall orchid would interfere with conversation at the table, and the scale was just not right. I think that this needed to be a little bigger or a little taller for the scale of a taller orchid to work. So they already come in these beautiful little ceramic pots, but I could tell right away when I put it down into the pot that 3 of these would not fit down into the soup tureen. That's okay, because the orchids actually come in a plastic liner. So I'm going to put 3 orchids inside the soup tureen and turn them so they're both kind of in their best position. Now, one thing you can do is you can get some sticky tape on the bottoms of the pots to try to get it to stick to the tureen. I'm going to try by repurposing some of this brown packaging that comes a lot of times in your packages you get in the mail to keep your items from shifting. I'm going to just see if I can get this to stay, because by putting this in here, it's actually allowing me more space so that I don't have to fill it up with the moss that's going to cover it up. So we're just going to kind of sandwich this paper around the orchids, and this is working perfectly. It's creating a snug environment for my orchids, and it's creating space. So can you see how I did that? I'm going to turn it so you can see how I used the paper as filler and as a way to keep my orchids all nice and snug. Now, the orchids already have sticks in them to keep them straight, so that's good. So we're off to a good start. Now, I bought this. This is a 1-pound bag of super moss. It's preserved moss. I bought it at my local craft store. and I paid $25 for it. Now, I am not going to use all of this, and it comes in sheets, looks like this, and I'm going to take it and just cover the top of the paper so that you can't see the paper. It will make a mess, so that's why I'm doing it on my kitchen counter and not in the dining room. So you can always just take a little hand broom and dust up the rest of the excess. And I'm going to tuck just a little bit more in. And really, from this point forward, you can be super creative. You could take this and finish it just like that. I mean, that is lovely just on its own. I'm going to take it a little bit further to make it speak fall. So I'm going to take some white pumpkins. I have 3 here. And I'm going to turn them in different directions. Look at that. So now all of a sudden I've taken just a very pretty orchid and I've turned it into a fall centerpiece. Now what I'm going to do is take it another step further. And this is where the wilt stop will come in handy. If you listen to our podcast with my dear friend, Brittany Shepard from the Sentimental Decorator, you can find her on Instagram at the Sentimental Decorator, Brittany Shepard, or you can find her at thesentimentaldecorator.com. One thing we talked about on our podcast recently is this really great product called Wilt Stop, and I will link it below for you. Wilt Stop basically helps reduce moisture loss, and it's for plants that are maybe stressed, maybe went on vacation and your house sitter forgot to water a plant and you come home and all of a sudden it's almost next to death. You could try to revive it with this. It also prevents winter kill, wind burn, sun scald, salt damage, and drying out, and it helps reduce transplant shock. Another thing it does is it helps extend the life of your Christmas tree. So what I'm going to do is I just picked some fresh clippings of my magnolia from my magnolia tree, and I'm going to take this wilt stop and we're just going to see if it helps to preserve the life of this magnolia leaves in my centerpiece. And all you do is just spray it. You can let it dry if you wanted to. I'm going to just probably take it and dab it with some paper towels. I'm spraying it on some paper towels right now. Let me get some paper towels. And I'm just going to kind of dab it, just so that I'm not putting in it wet into the centerpiece for the purposes of videoing. But I think if you were to do this, what you might want to do is spray it first and let it sit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm just going to place it right inside. Gosh, this is turning out so pretty. I will take pictures and share this on Instagram. Again, I only clipped 3 because in nature, most things grow in odd numbers, 3s and 5s. So I picked 3 orchids, 3 pumpkins, and 3 clippings of magnolia leaves. Y'all, I could not be happier. Look at this stunning centerpiece. The clippings came from my garden. The pumpkins were $1 each at Trader Joe's. The moss was $24.99, which I can reuse for other projects, and I can take it out of here and reuse it again. And the orchids were $10.99. This will last me, as soon as Thanksgiving is over, I will take the pumpkins out. Now, one thing you can do to help preserve a pumpkin is just make you up a spray of 4 parts water, 1 part bleach, which it would probably be like maybe a couple of tablespoons of bleach to 4 cups of water. And you can try to wash your pumpkins in the chlorine, in the bleached water. That'll help to preserve it. But if you're gonna be in an air conditioning setting, I'm pretty sure that your pumpkins will last through the season. And you have a stunning, gorgeous centerpiece that will last you through Christmas. When Christmas comes, you take the pumpkins out, You may or may not need to replace the magnolia leaves, and you pop in vintage Christmas ornaments, or you pop in a bunch of jingle bells, or whatever speaks to you for Christmas. You could put in little woodland animals or owls. But y'all, I just love how it turned out. And I don't know, this is less than about 10 minutes it took for me to create a centerpiece that now I can move over to my fall table and enjoy through the seasons. So thank you so much for joining me this week on the Hostess Journal. Be sure to follow me at homewithatwist.com. I will link my website below, and we will see you next Saturday.